Hey everybody! Well, today I thought we could take a look at this interesting model kit that I managed to find on eBay. Now, this is something I've been wanting for a while. This is Wheems, the cute little robot that we saw in the movie Batteries Not Included. Now, I think that movie came out in 1987. I'm not really sure. But I've always wanted a little Wheems model, or you know, the robots on there. They had a mother and father robot, and they also had Flotsam and Jetsam, for those of you who are familiar with the movie. But I always liked Wheems the best. He was this cute little, kind of a runt of the group, and this is him here. Now, it's a very small kit, it's a resin kit, and it's a really rough kit too. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this model justice. I think a model like this is best suited more for an expert. But here we can take a look at Wheems's main body. So we can see his eyes right here. Now, I'm not sure how accurate this is, and it's kind of a rough, very rough casting of this. I'm going to probably have to do some kind of gouging out of these lines, the little panel lines, because they're not very deep. Also, you can see under here, see how rough the casting is? I mean, there's going to be a lot of filing and sanding off of all this extra flashing on here. And I'm not usually a big fan of these resin kits just because they usually are pretty rough. But the good thing about this resin is it sands off really easy. So, I mean, it's relatively easy to work with, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of work to be done on this. Now, this is a solid casting. Wheems's eyes lit up green. And unless I drill everything out inside of here to put lights in there, I don't know. I don't want to go crazy with this. And as I mentioned, I don't really do lights and models that much anymore. It would be kind of cool if these were clear right here or something, so you could work with it a little better. I have seen different versions of these kits where there is a hollow casting of these, but I don't see these very often. It's one of those kits that you just don't see a lot of. This piece here, I believe, is the bottom of Wheems's mouth. And I think it's going to go down here. So it's going to fit down here a little bit. So I'm guessing you were supposed to make this so that if you want it open, you can, because there is some detailing under here and in here. But I'm not going to have this open. I think I'm just going to go ahead and just glue it in place right here. Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have much confidence in the fact that I'm going to be able to make this look all that great. I'm not even sure what all of this stuff is. I'm pretty sure these are his little feet. As you can see here, I need to go and get some screen grabs of Wheems so I can make sure I know where everything is. He's got a crazy color pattern on his whole body, too. I think these are the legs. Near as I can tell, they're going to probably go on the top of his little legs right here. So I'll have to figure all of that out. Once again, there's a lot of very rough casting on here. I'm going to have to cut off a lot of this extra flashing on here. So, yeah, I'll have to take a better look at those, I suppose. I think these are his arms, because I think his arms stuck out underneath these parts right here. They're like these little metal things. And more sanding and stuff on these parts as well. I think these feet are made for an in-flight version, so I won't be using these. Pretty sure that's what that said in the instructions. This, I'm not sure what this is. This might be one of the little antennas that go on the back here. I'm not really sure. He's got this antenna. I think it might go here, or this way maybe. I can't remember. Did he have a tail? I can't remember. It's been such a long time since I've seen this movie. These things here, I'm pretty sure, are the antennas that go on the back. And they're also very rough, but he has like these little ball-like things that stick up. So I guess all three of those are probably what go back here. I think there's a larger one here in the middle or something like that. And so I'll have to see. I think these are the two smaller ones. You can see how roughly these are made. And these, I don't even know what these are. I have no idea what these pieces are. So yeah, I'm going to have to kind of figure out what all of this is. But anyway, I'm going to try to do what I can with this. Like I said, I am no expert. This model is really made for somebody who's got way better skills than I do. So I'm not even sure how this is going to turn out. As I mentioned, he's got a crazy paint scheme because Wheems was made of, random household, like cans and products and stuff. And so he has like some gold here, and then there's, I think, some bluish coloring. There's some copper and there's just going to be a crazy paint job on this. The main thing I'm worried about also is that I don't have decals for this. There's no decals with this kit, and he has all this text all over him. I think there's like a barcode up here on the top. There's, I think it says like caution and keep out of reach of children and stuff like that. I have no idea how I'm going to approach the writing on here. Maybe I can see if I can find some stencils or something, or maybe I'll just hand draw it on there. I really don't know. Maybe I just will skip that part. I'm not sure. But anyway, I guess I'll try to see what I can do with this thing. Okay, so I've been working on this all day. It may not look like it, but I got to tell you, there is so much stuff to sand and cut off and stuff like this. So this kit definitely is not accurate. It's not accurate. I wish it was better, but you know, like I said, there's not many of these floating around. So looking at this first, we can see that I got all that flashing off of here. There's a lot of flashing on here. I did some puttying. There was some holes back here. This part is not accurate. If you look at the one, well, you know, I was looking at the one on the YouTube channel Tested with Adam Savage. A model builder sent him one that it was like a specially made one for him. But he also looked at one of the original props about a month or two ago for an auction. But on the back of the one that model builder sent him, there was like this round kind of section back here. This thing is totally flat back here. So that's definitely not accurate at all. Some of the panels are pretty much accurate, but I think there's a couple that are not quite aligned where they're supposed to. But as you can see, I went ahead and glued the mouthpiece in here. I went ahead and put some putty on here. I decided not to have it open. And there is a line right here, so I'm going to leave that. And you can kind of see all of this look. So there was a lot of stuff that I had to just kind of cut and file off of here. I also took a hobby knife and really gouged out these kind of grid line kind of things just to make them a little more defined, because they were not very defined at all. And then after sanding some of this, it made them look even less. The eyes, not much you can really do there. But I mean, this looks much better than it did. At least it looks, you know, somewhat decent. These legs here, they are not accurate at all. If you look at Wheems's legs, they're very narrow. In fact, they're not this thick. Well, there is this thin. Actually, they go this way, so they'll look like this. But they don't have this thick area up here, I don't think. In fact, his legs look pretty fragile, and if this was accurate to the actual Wheems, it wouldn't hold this up. I don't think they'd hold it up. So I chose to leave this somewhat thick to make sure that it'll support his weight. But these things are really rough. They look really bad. I had to do a lot of work on these. I ended up shaving off quite a bit and trying to dig out these round things because they were kind of molded in with everything else. But, well, they look better than they did, that's for sure. If these don't work out, though, I'm going to go ahead and go with the flying version of the feet. So I went ahead and cleaned these up in case I need to use them. And then here's the regular feet right here. So clean these up a little bit. These didn't need as much work as some of the other things, but these little horn-like things, or these little bell, whatever they are, they look like thrusters actually. They were kind of embedded in a bunch of resin in here. I'd really had to cut all of this out to make them look more defined. And then, let me see, these are his arms. I had to putty one of these. This one right here, it had a hole in it. But those are his arms, and on the end here, it looks like there's a little ball or something on there. And so what I'm going to do with that, and I'm going to use these. I went to Hobby Lobby today. I'm just going to glue on these metal beads, one bead on the end of this, just to kind of give it that look that it's supposed to have. And then also, these are the antennas. This is the only one I'm going to use because it's the bigger one in the middle. So I really had to do a lot of filing down here and round out this ball a little bit better. And that's going to go on the back here. It's the main one, and it goes on the middle right about here. And then the other two, there's one below it and one above it. And that's these smaller ones. So I didn't bother to clean these ones up because you can see they're really rough. So I think what I'm going to do, instead of using these, I'm just going to use this wire that I found at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to cut some lengths of it and drill a hole back here and just stick the wire in there and here, and then I'm going to glue another one of these beads on the end of those, and then that'll make the antennas, because some of the Wheems I've seen just have a wire as the antenna. The other two antennas, not the thicker one. So I think that's what I'm going to go go with on that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all of it. But yeah, I don't know. Boy, I tell you, this... Wish the kit was better. I do wish it was a better kit. And I do wish that somebody would make an official kit of this. But oh well, I think I'm ready at this point to do some priming. So I'm going to go ahead and do some primering. And then I think I can probably start painting. So I'll see what that looks like when I get to that point. So I was noticing that Wheems has got these little greeblies on him, these little white things that I stuck on there. Some of these were molded into the model, and some of them weren't, so I just went ahead and added these in myself, especially on the back here. He's got 6 of these. And as I mentioned, the back end here is completely inaccurate, but at least if I can add some kind of detail on there, it'll help. So since they weren't showing up very good, I just put those on. And then on the bottom here, there's a bunch of stuff too. So especially here, they did have those ones on there, but they weren't very defined. And then down here, this wasn't very detailed down here. I did add these curved little scribed lines in there so I can paint 3 of those panels a different color. And I'm not really sure how much of Wheems is going to show on the bottom of him anyway, but at least that does add some detail. And I also scribed these lines in on this little curved part on his, I guess you can call them shoulders, because that wasn't there, and those are supposed to be 2 different colors as well. So what I used for these little details here is this sheet of styrene that's got these lines in it, if you can kind of see all that. And I just cut a small strip of it, cut them into little pieces, and then using an X-Acto blade and then some thin, Tamiya thin glue, and just glued them on. And then, if I can focus on here, and then once they dried, I put another layer of glue around them just to make sure they're on here, because if they're on, they're pretty good now. But that adds some proper detail. I think that'll make him look a little more interesting. So hopefully he'll turn out okay. Okay, I have been working on this for so long, I don't even know how long I've been working on it. So I decided to just forget about these antennas. I wasn't going to use these ones anyway, but this one here I was thinking about using, but that just looks terrible actually. So I just made my own. I made this one right here. This is actually, I had to go through my parts pack to find just some random things that looked somewhat like that. And I just found some random pieces of models, and some of them I had to kind of do surgery on them to make it look the way I wanted. That ball looks a little rough, but it's the closest thing I had to that size. And so I think that looks way better than the part that they gave you right there. These ones here I wasn't going to use at all, so I made some of my own. These ones here, now I was looking at some of the Wheems. This one's in the middle, and then these 2 are on the outside, and they angle towards each other. So I went ahead and used that wire that I had, this stuff here, and then I just bent it, cut it at the right length. I found this piece. This was actually a part of an Enterprise model. It was part of the main sensor, and I just scalped some of the pieces off, and it made a perfect little base. And then those are the beads that I was telling you about that I used right there to make these look more interesting. That's the way they should look. So those are going to look much, much better. Started painting all of this stuff. There's the feet. A lot of painting. Oh my gosh, there's so many crazy colors on Wheems. I had no idea. But you can see I just kind of, I had to wing a lot of this. I mean, honestly, there's not really good photos of some of the details on them. And then everybody's built their Wheems different. And these legs, I just kind of had to do whatever I could with them. They look rough, but there's not much I can do about these. They're just rough in general. I made one kind of predominantly silver and one predominantly gold. And yeah, I mean, they're just going to be kind of rough looking. This is his tail. And I just kind of, originally it's supposed to be just all gold, but I went ahead and added that little bit of copper just to kind of make it look more interesting. And I added that. Let's see, was that part of this thing? No, that was a bead. I put that bead on there. These are his arms. I can't tell you how many times I kept changing the color on these. They're supposed to be kind of like a silver on the bottom right there, but then they're kind of like a dark gray. And the more I looked at it, the more I didn't like it, so I just went ahead and repainted those as a gold color. I don't know how many times I've painted this stuff over and over. But now, let's take a look at Wheems himself. Look at there. There's little Wheems. He's kind of cute, but look at all the crazy colors on him. I mean, there's gold, There's this metallic blue, copper, silver, a dark gray. It's just crazy. I left that unpainted because I got to glue the tail on there. I think adding those little greeblies really helped. This back here, these are some other model parts that I found laying around because I needed something back there because, as I was mentioning, this is totally inaccurate back here, so I needed to add some kind of detailing. I think that makes it look a little nicer. But yeah, this is really good. The green eyes, I just went and painted it. It's a little rough paint job, but I don't know. God, this kit is so rough. It's just crazy. But you can see all these crazy colors on here. And then here's the bottom of him. So I had to improvise down here because there's not many pictures of the bottom of him. And as I mentioned, this doesn't look anything like the actual Wheems, but I think that looks kind of cool. So yeah, I'm really actually pretty happy with the way he turned out. He looks really good. I might put a little bit of a wash on him, maybe to tone the colors down just a little bit, but I don't know if I want to do that yet. I'll have to wait. Now, as far as the lettering on here, I was mentioning that I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it. I was at the hobby shop, and lo and behold, I found these dry transfers. These are the ones that you just kind of scratch them on, and look how tiny the letters are. That's exactly what I was looking for, because the letters are going to have to fit on some of these panels, and they're really, really small. And I'm hoping this will work. I don't know if it will or not. It's worth a try, but I think what I'll do is I'll put a gloss coat on him, and that way he'll be a little bit more smoother or shinier or whatever. And then hopefully these will stick on there, because there's a whole bunch of different letters. I'll probably end up using those ones because the letters are really super tiny. And then he has a barcode that's supposed to be on the top, and I'm not sure, but I wonder if that barcode is actually, like a rub-on transfer. That would be great if I could use that as the barcode. That would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to have to just draw it on there. But we'll have to try it, I guess. But so far, he's actually turning out not bad. All right, here he is now. I cannot believe I managed to get those rub-on transfers to work. I have spent the last 6 hours trying to get these letters on. Oh my gosh, it's just crazy how tiny these letters are. So, I had to use each letter individually. I had to put each letter on individually, and I tried to match it up to the original Wheems as best as possible. He's got that little caution on the side, and they look a little rough because some of them didn't come out all that good. It's a mixture of the transfers and a black Sharpie marker to try to get some of those on there. Sometimes the letters would peel off completely, like the O right there, and I had to kind of fix it. The C didn't come out right, but Wheems has a rough look to him, so I guess it kind of goes along with his look. This part here, where it says contents under pressure, I was starting it off, and then unfortunately I kind of got onto the wrong angle. So contents should actually angle up towards here, where it comes up to under. But I got the contents on the wrong angle. It just kind of goes flat. So I just still put under pressure. It starts PR right there. So, at least it still says kind of the same thing. But, I don't think most people are going to know. The out of reach came out really good. I think it's meant to say keep out of reach of children or whatever. Here's the industrial or industry. I don't know. It says something on there. I had to fix that in. Didn't come out all that good, but yeah, man, I don't know. What are you going to do? I spent so long. This UL, it's supposed to also say, let's see, I think it says tested or something up here. I can't remember, but I didn't really have room. When I put that little greebly on right here, I wasn't really thinking about the fact that I have to put that UL right there, but I think it still turned out okay. And then the circle I just made using one of these little things right here, and just used a Sharpie marker to draw that around. This non-toxic, it's supposed to be read upside down, so it's supposed to go like that. So it's supposed to be a capital N and then lowercase letters for ON and then toxic with a dash in the middle. But once again, I put that greebly on already and wasn't really thinking about how that had to fit, but it looks okay. And this barcode, it actually worked out just fine. Now, if you look at Wheems, the barcode actually starts down here, and it goes to about where you see this one starting. So it goes up like here. I tried drawing it on there, but it just wasn't going to work out. So I went ahead and used the barcode on that sheet of transfers, and thank goodness it worked. So I mean, it doesn't look exactly right, but it's okay. And it kind of fell apart in some parts because of how long it is, but it's okay because Wheems does have a rough look to him. And so I think that looks pretty darn good if I do say so myself. But man, 6 hours of work. I put a nice semi-gloss coat on here to keep everything, keep all the wording on there. So now I think I can actually start putting them together. Okay, so before I reveal little Wheems, I decided I'm going to put them on a base. So I found this plaque over at Hobby Lobby. They're really cheap. They're only like $2 something, $2.50. So I'm going to use this, and then most of the time when you see Wheems, he's standing on some little tiles. It's a scene from the movie. I couldn't find those little tiles anywhere, or at least not at the Home Depot. So I went with these bigger ones, and it'll just have to suffice. As with everything else with this model, it's had to suffice. But here we go. Now I'm just going to center this on here, and I'm just going to glue them down. I'm going to paint the wood part black and just glue those on, and I'll show Wheems sitting on top of there. Alright, so now this is completely finished. It ended up being more work than I thought. I ended up cutting the tiles away from that mesh because I really wanted to have the tiles closer together. So I just pulled the mesh completely off the back. When I painted the base, I went ahead and added some white pieces of paper in behind where each tile is going to be, and that way when I painted it, the bare wood would still show. They acted like a mask, and then that way I could use wood glue to glue the tiles onto the wood base. The wood base, I just used some Krylon black, which was, I think it turned out fine, and then I also sanded the base down a little bit so it wasn't quite so rough. I also put a sealer on it to kind of smooth it down a little. And then I also painted the sides of the tiles black because I didn't like how they looked. They had that kind of unfinished look, and I think that makes them look a lot better. That way the tiles are the only thing that's kind of really showing at the top. And then on the back here, I went ahead and added some nice felt to soften down the bottom of it. Alright, so I'm glad that turned out okay. Now we get to see Wheems sitting on top of it. And here he is, all finished now. Haha! I just love this little guy. He is so dang cute. So there's little Wheems. I do wish I could have found those smaller tiles, but I'm alright with that. Most of the time you see him with the smaller tiles. But I gotta say that this model is really rough. It's a rough model. I wish I could have made him look better, but my skills are they only go so far. But overall, I think he turned out way better than I thought he was going to. When I first saw this kit, when I first got a hold of it, I was like, man, I don't know if I can do anything with this, but I think he turned out pretty darn good. Definitely the paint was the key in this one because he's got so many different panels and stuff all over him. I really love the antennas. I'm really glad I went with making my own because the antennas that came with this kit were just absolutely horrible. This just looks much more like they're supposed to, and they're much more interesting. When I glued the feet and the legs on, I was going to have him stand kind of more straight, more flat. But I realized that the tail works as a kickstand, and I didn't want to accidentally, have him fall over all the time. I wanted him to be more stable. And these two little feet, it seems like, if you bumped the table or something, or wherever you got him sitting, he's going to fall over, and I don't want anything to break. And I also wanted to make it so that he could come off his stand. I didn't want him to be stuck on here, so I wanted him to be removable. And so that actually worked nice as a kind of a kickstand. I did have to cut his hands down. I didn't realize it, but his little arms were way too long. So these are the pieces that I had to cut down. I just had to cut off this extra bit because they were way too long. So I just cut them in about half the length and then glued another bead on the end. So I think that looks much better. It looks more like he's supposed to. But I don't know. Wheems, I really wish they'd make a kit of this. I don't know how they haven't. Battery's not included. I mean, it's kind of an obscure movie at this time. I should say by this time, because 1987 is when that movie came out. So it's been a long time. I don't remember if it was a big blockbuster hit or anything. I don't think it was. It was a Steven Spielberg production. I don't think he directed it. I think he was the producer of it. And I really think that Lola from Obi-Wan was inspired by these little guys. And of course there was two other robots, Flotsam and Jetsam, and then the adult robots, the mother and father robots. But I thought Wheems was the cutest. He's the one that I always liked the best because he was just absolutely adorable in the movie, and you know how I am about cute robots. But I really think this is a fun little, well, it was a challenging kit. At least he turned out pretty decent, considering I really had no hope for this thing originally. The legs here, As you can see, I did glue them on, and you can see what the bottom of this looks like. So let me get some better light on here. So like I said, the paint looks rough. I didn't sand the feet or anything. I just kind of left them rough because they weren't going to be seen anyway. And I'm assuming those little gold things behind his leg attachments, I'm assuming that's where those go. It didn't really specify where they went, so I just put them in there. But you can see how the legs attach. I almost went with the flying version and then maybe just set him on like an acrylic cube or something so it looks like he's flying. But I don't know. I think the feet, is kind of cool, even though they're not accurate at all. But, I don't know. Considering how rough this thing is, oh man, he's definitely a rough kit to build. But I'm glad I was able to make those rub-on transfers work, even though they didn't turn out, perfect or anything. But considering this did not come with any kind of decals or anything, you just have to kind of work with what you got. I really love those antennas. God, those look look really good. I love his little tail also. I think that's a pretty neat little thing. His eyes, I wish I could have done something a little bit better with his eyes, but I didn't want to keep gouging out this material in here because I found that when I did, it's not very thick underneath here, and I actually could see through that. So I didn't want to go any further with it, so that's why I kind of left it the way it was. And some lights in his eyes would have been cool, but like I said, this is a solid mold. I suppose if you really want to be dedicated and gouge all of that out, you most certainly can. I kind of strayed on some of the colors, mainly because I didn't know what they were, or the Wheems that I saw online, they were different. Some looked really bad, some looked really good. It just kind of depended on, I guess, who built it and where the kit came from. As I said, there's not too many of these kits around. I saw this one on eBay, and that's the first one I've seen in quite a while. And I've always wanted to build Wheems because I think he's really cute. In fact, I bought the Blu-ray of Batteries Not Included because I haven't seen the movie in a while and I really want to go back and rewatch it. But I think he looks pretty good here. When he's sitting on here. Let me zoom in on him a little bit. So here we can get a look at him while he's on the turntable. But yeah, I think he looks pretty decent. I don't know. These garage kits, I think the problem with a lot of these garage kits is the initial mold, whoever made the first mold of it, they probably made mold after mold, and then eventually it starts to lose its, clarity in the way that the details are molded. And, and I'm not really sure, how many years the mold's been around, especially the antennas. They looked really bad. They were just pretty much unusable. The middle one was, I guess, okay. But like I said, I just used some found pieces. If you build models, and I think most model builders are the same, they'll keep extra pieces laying around because you never know when they're going to come in handy. And that's happened to me many times where it's come in very handy. So in this case, it came in really good for Wheems' antennas. But he's so cute. I just love him. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'd really appreciate it. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. So have a good one.